Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll be discussing some news that has just broken, and that is that Disney has basically changed up their entire upcoming release schedule and has announced a whole new slate of release dates, and that includes both some Fox properties and also some of their Marvel properties, and we've even got a brand new release date for an upcoming Marvel movie that we knew was coming out much further down the line, but we actually have an official release date for that now. So let's just dive straight into it. I'm going to start off with talking about the film Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. This film is coming from 20th Century Studios, which is of course their Fox division. Now this film was originally slated for a July 4th release date, so of course the 4th of July weekend. That is a huge release date for this movie to drop from, because that's such a huge weekend. It's so important in America. It's such a big release date for domestic box office, because that film, it just is perfectly suited for a release date like that, especially because it's so attainable for a lot of different audiences, and loads of people, the 4th of July weekend is historic for really big movies doing really well, and for this film being quite attainable, like I say, a lot of people will go out and see this film. For it to lose that release date, it's a bit of a shame, but like I say, as we currently know right now, due to the pandemic going on, we don't actually know if cinemas will actually be open by 4th of July weekend. They might be, but we don't know that. I know that AMC have spoken about that things might be open by mid-June, but we don't know that. That might not happen, and the majority of cinemas, that's just AMC, that's not every cinema brand out there in the US, so it could be different. So this has now been delayed till December the 11th of 2020, so it's still coming out this year, but right at the tail end of the year. So interesting release date. Again, I think it'll be fine, but it's just one of those things where that was such a strong release date. For it to lose that, it's a bit of a dodgy one. And hilariously enough, ARTEMIS FOWL, which has been through so many different complications, has actually just been announced that it's sticking to its regular release date, but instead it's going to Disney+. I mean, it's kind of hilarious because everyone's been talking about how Mulan needs to go to Disney+, or Black Widow should go to Disney+, and those films are just such big events that to stick them on Disney+ would just be idiotic for Disney to do. It would just be ridiculous for them because they would lose so much money on it. But for a film like ARTEMIS FOWL, I think it's probably best that you cut your losses and put it on Disney+, which is clearly what they're doing. I mean, this film is obviously, it's got a pretty, big director. It's Kenneth Branagh who's doing it, and it's got a rather big cast. It's based on a pretty successful children's novel, but it's just one of those films that people just don't care about it. It didn't look very good. The trailers weren't particularly exciting. No one was talking about it. So I think Disney have basically just looked at this movie and gone, let's just stick it on Disney+. Let's just get rid of it, because it's just going to bomb. They can just tell this movie's going to bomb. It's one of those, like, every now and then Disney, they'll just throw a rock in the ocean and it just won't make a sound, and that is this movie. That would have been their 2020 movie, and I think they've just decided that, yeah, let's just not have that embarrassment. Let's just stick it on Disney+ and anyone can watch it. I mean, I'm a lot more inclined to watch it now it's on Disney+, because I don't have to go out and see it, so if it's there, I'll watch it, sure, why not? It's kind of hilarious, even though it's kind of sad for the filmmakers, and, no disrespect to the filmmakers or anything like that. It's just kind of funny, because this movie's been such a, joke in the industry for a while. To see it just go to Disney Plus like this, it is a bit funny. Now, I just mentioned it a second ago, but Mulan has actually now got a new release date of July 24th, so that is going into the summer release date slot. Not a bad release date for that. I mean, Aladdin was in a release date like that last year, so that kind of makes a lot of sense. Aladdin was in a May release date, July. The summer release date for a big Disney film like that makes a lot of sense. In fact, Lion King was actually in July last year, and of course, that film also made $1 billion. I mean, I'm pretty sure Mulan will make $1 billion no matter where you release it, to be honest, but it's still there for a July release date, so that's going to make a lot of sense. I mean, again, I think that sticking Mulan in a July release date like that was a bit risky for Disney. I don't know if July is a particular safe time, because even if cinemas are open by then, what you got to think about as well is that there is a potential that people will be too scared to actually go out to the cinema again. Obviously, there'll be a huge community that will, especially people like me, people like you, film fans, we will go, but there'll still be, general audiences might be a bit wary and a bit scared to actually go to the cinema just because they're not sure, how dead or how kind of, safe it is to go out at that point. So I think the July release date was a bit of a risk. I wouldn't actually be surprised if we see Disney move that release date again. But we'll see how it goes. It's right at the end of July, and as I said earlier, AMC theaters are discussing the fact that it might be June, mid-June, where we see cinemas reopen again. But again, as I've mentioned many times, we just don't know at this point. So I think that Mulan is the only one on this slate that could move again. And Jungle Cruise has been pushed back an entire year. The film, which was originally slated to release in July of this year, has actually now been pushed back to June of 2021. June 30th of 2021 to be exact. Oh no, sorry, it's July 30th, so that's even more, that is a full year. So it's been released an entire full year later on July 30th of 2021. Jungle Cruise, I don't know how this movie's going to go. I think the trailer is okay. I think the concept, obviously, it's based on a Disney World ride, which, I mean, you look at the track record of that, and obviously you have Pirates of the Caribbean, a huge franchise. And obviously this has got The Rock, one of the biggest movie stars in the world. It's also got Emily Blunt, who's fantastic. So it's got a lot of good elements in there, but it's also just one of the things, I look at the movie and I just go, I don't know what this is trying to do. Like, I don't know who this is for necessarily, and I don't know what its aims are as a movie, if that makes sense. So, where you release this movie, I don't know. I mean, a summer release date makes sense for a film like this, given the fact that it is The Rock in the lead role. It kind of reminds me of something like Skyscraper from a couple of years ago. They chucked that in the summer. It could be something like that. But Jungle Cruise being delayed an entire year, I mean, wasn't this film meant to come out last year? Wasn't that... I'm pretty sure it was meant to come out in 2019, but the fact it's been pushed back again, so now it's coming out in 2021. I mean, you know, I think this is one of the films that's, like, one of the least important ones for Disney at the moment. Like, they are focusing on other stuff, which is why they've kind of pushed it back further, so they don't have to worry about it as much. So, July 30th, 2021, let's see how it goes. Now, the real meat and potatoes of this announcement was the Marvel release date slate. They have updated the entire slate of Marvel Phase 4, and they have basically come out and ripped the plaster off and said, right, here's the new release dates, and they've done exactly what I thought they were going to do. And the only thing they should have done, the most sensible thing to do, it just makes so much sense for them to do this. If they didn't do this, I would have been incredibly surprised. Basically, what they've done is they've taken every single Marvel movie and delayed it a release date, so they've pushed it down a release date. So obviously, Black Widow has now taken the Eternals release date, Eternals has taken Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi has taken Doctor Strange, etc, etc, etc. So, Black Widow has been delayed till November the 6th of 2020, so it's still coming out this year. Obviously, this is now its second delay. Interesting. I mean, I think the Black Widow actually might do better in something like a November release date. I mean, I'm sure it's going to make $1 billion regardless. It's a Marvel movie, but I think a November release date for a character like Black Widow makes a bit more sense. So I think that could be a good move for that. And then everything else, like I say, I mean, Eternals coming out in February. It could be it could be another Black Panther situation. Shang-Chi moving to the summer. Shang-Chi is the only movie within the Phase 4 slate I'm not sure about in terms of making money, just because while Eternals is a very weird Marvel comic, the cast is so big that it makes me think that, you know, people will be more kind of open to go and seeing it, whereas Shang-Chi, the lead actor, is pretty much an unknown. Like, he's in like one TV series that he's known for, but other than that, he's not really he's not a well-known name at all. And the cast is mostly made up of a lot of really famous Chinese actors, not necessarily, you know, Western actors, which, you know, could point at a bit more of a, you know, a lower box office. But we'll see how it goes. Them sticking it in the summer could do better, and they can also promote it a bit more, which would be nice. Doctor Strange has gone to Thor's release date, and Thor has pushed back to 2022, so Thor Love and Thunder is coming in 2022 now, which is interesting. As I said, everything's basically just been pushed back one release date, which, again, it makes sense for Marvel, given the fact that they had all these release dates on the slate anyway, so you might as well use them. But the interesting news that came out of this, really, is actually that we have an official release date for Captain Marvel 2. Captain Marvel 2 is now slated to release on July the 7th of 2022. Now, this is interesting. We didn't know this. We knew we were getting a sequel to Captain Marvel, but we didn't know when it was coming out. They discussed it at Comic-Con briefly, and Kevin Feige basically said it would come out basically in Phase 5. So it seems like that Captain Marvel 2 is actually going to be the first film of Phase 5, it looks like. And I'm just doing some speculating here, but I think that that has actually taken Black Panther 2's release date, because Black Panther 2, I think, has now been pushed back to whenever Captain Marvel, you know, or to whenever the next release date was. So basically the way I'm reading this is, given the fact that they have pushed everything back a single release date, I'm guessing the release date that Thor now has was the original release date for Captain Marvel 2, and then Black Panther 2 is obviously meant to come out in July of 2022, but now Captain Marvel has taken that slot, so whatever, you know, was coming next, Black Panther 2 has taken that slot. So it seems like, again, they're just moving everything down by one, and we see Captain Marvel 2 now stepping onto the plate. It's nice, though, because I think it's a good way to do this announcement, given that they've announced all these delays, and we're saying, you know, we're really sorry about all these release dates, but hey, here's something to look forward to. The sequel to Captain Marvel is coming out in July of 2022. There you go. So it's nice, you know, it's kind of like a little silver lining among all these, you know, all this bad news and this delay and everything like that. It's nice for them just to come out and say, hey, Captain Marvel 2 is coming out here, and you can, you know, get excited about that. So that's really cool. The Marvel release dates, you know, it's kind of interesting just to see, because again, I've been speculating about this for the last couple of weeks. I've been saying Marvel should just, you know, delay everything by one. Just, you know, push everything back, because you have those release dates anyway, just use them. And that's exactly what they've done, so that's really cool. And also MCU news as well, I just like to briefly mention, talk about Black Widow, is they've actually replaced the composer. Alexander Desplat is gone. They brought in Lorne Barth. Interesting choice. I mean, Lorne Barth is really good for doing like really action-heavy scores. Like he did Mission Impossible Fallout, which might be maybe the best score of Mission Impossible. I don't know. It's either that or Mission Impossible 2 because of Hans Zimmer. I don't know. But it's a really cool score. So to bring him over to do Black Widow makes a lot of sense. I think it's a thing where Alexander Desplat maybe just wasn't perhaps right for the situation, maybe like for that kind of movie. Like sometimes that happens with composers where they just realize, and also just with talent in general, where they realize that perhaps, you know, it's not that they're bad or they've done anything wrong, it's just the fact that their particular style and what they're working on just isn't really working or gelling with the movie or the project. And I think that could be what have happened here. And given the fact that Disney now have all this time to kind of work on Black Widow and refine it before it comes out in November, they can really go back in and work on the score, and I think that that's what they're planning to do. But anyway, that's all the news. That's everything I wanted to discuss. This has just dropped now, so it's, you know, piping fresh hot news, but I just wanted to deliver it to you guys and let you know the news. And also let me know what you thought about it. How do you feel about the new release dates? What are you most looking forward to? And how do you feel about Captain Marvel 2 officially getting a release date? Whatever you thought about it, comment down below. Let me know. And as always, if you want to see more movie reviews and movie related videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.